You hack your school's grading system at 13 because your best friend Marco is failing biology, and his parents said if he fails one more class, they're sending him to his aunt in Modesto, which is a fate equivalent to exile in a town with no Wi-Fi and a permanent smell of almond orchards. You don't change his grade to an A, that'd be suspicious. You change it from an F to a C-. Exactly the kind of grade Marco would earn if he accidentally paid attention for 2 weeks. The teacher doesn't notice. Marco stays in town. He buys you a gas station burrito as payment. You eat it in a strip mall parking lot in Bend, Oregon, a town with 16,000 people and exactly one thing worth hacking, which is the school network. And you've already done it. You're 13, and the most dangerous thing about you is that this was easy, not challenging, not a puzzle that took days. You sat at your desk, opened a laptop your mom bought, refurbished from a government surplus sale for $120, and you were inside the system in 40 minutes. The security was a joke. The password policy was a joke. The only person laughing was an 8th grader in a bedroom that smells like dirty laundry and Hot Pockets, who just committed his first federal crime for a gas station burrito. You live with your mom, just the two of you. She works the front desk at a vet clinic, $31,000 a year, which in Bend means a 2-bedroom apartment built in the 80s with a heater that sounds like a helicopter landing inside the wall. Your dad left when you were 4, not dramatically. He drove to work and kept driving. Your mom doesn't talk about him. The absence has been there so long, it's architectural, not a hole, a room nobody enters. You have a normal life, aggressively normal, school, homework, dinner from a slow cooker or cereal or hot sauce on whatever's in the fridge, video games with Marco, bikes to the river in summer, completely unremarkable teenager in a completely unremarkable town. The only remarkable thing about you lives inside the refurbished laptop, and nobody knows it's there. You don't know why you're good at this. Nobody taught you. You just understand systems, the way some kids understand music or the exact moment to pass a basketball. You see architecture where other people see screens. You see pathways where other people see walls. At 14, you teach yourself Python. At 15, you're writing your own scripts. At 16, you discover a vulnerability in a regional utility company's billing system that exposes records for 11,000 households. You don't steal anything. You document the vulnerability, write a clear report, and post it on an encrypted form used by security researchers, hackers, and the occasional intelligence analyst monitoring these spaces like a marine biologist watching the deep ocean. Your post gets 40 responses from people who recognize that the work is unusual. Young, they suspect. Untrained and genuinely talented. Over 8 months, you post 11 more disclosures: municipal water systems, hospital networks, a regional bank, a state voter registration database. Each time you document the vulnerability and publish it so it gets fixed. You never steal data. You never extort. You never damage systems. You find holes and tell people the holes exist. At 16, you are the most ethical hacker in a space that doesn't always value ethics. And everything you're doing is still technically illegal because unauthorized access is a federal crime, regardless of intent. 3 weeks after your 17th birthday, you find something you weren't looking for. You're probing a defense contractor's employee portal. Weak authentication. Inside within an hour, you expect employee records and internal memos. Instead, you find a directory linking to an internal project database. The project is called Prism Ridge. The files describe a domestic surveillance program operated between the contractor and a federal intelligence agency. The program collects metadata from communications platforms, social media, and internet service providers. Millions of American citizens. The legal authorization is a court order from a secret judicial body. So broadly written, it effectively authorizes collection on everyone who uses the internet. You read the files for 6 hours. You download documents. You verify authenticity by cross-referencing internal references with public contract numbers and FOIA responses. The documents are real. The program is real. The government is surveilling its own citizens at a scale no public law or congressional debate has authorized. You're sitting in your bedroom at 3 a.m. Mom's asleep. The heater's making its helicopter noise. You're holding proof that the government is watching everyone and nobody's watching the government. You're 17. Your biggest concern last week was whether Marco would pass his driver's test. And now this. You leak it. Not all of it. You redact operational details, agent names, anything identifying specific individuals involved in execution. You keep the structural documents, authorization orders, scope descriptions, contractor agreements, internal memos discussing expansion into new data categories. You publish through 3 channels simultaneously: the encrypted forum, a journalist at a national newspaper, and a digital rights organization that specializes in government transparency lawsuits. The forum post goes live at midnight, the newspaper story at 6 a.m., the lawsuit at 9 a.m. By noon, Prism Ridge is the most searched term on the internet. The reaction is thermonuclear, congressional hearings within 48 hours. The intelligence agency calls the leak a grave threat to national security. The contractor's stock drops 11%. Civil liberties groups file 17 lawsuits in 9 jurisdictions. The newspaper wins an award nomination. Your handle trends globally. The FBI, the NSA, the DOJ, and the intelligence agency are all looking for you. Task forces assembled, warrants sealed. The full investigative machinery of the federal government pointed at a pseudonym, and behind the pseudonym is a 17-year-old eating cereal at 7 a.m., watching the coverage while his mom yells that he's late for school. You go to school. You sit in AP history. The teacher talks about the Pentagon Papers. A girl named Sophia, who you've had a crush on since freshman year, raises her hand and says, "The Prism Ridge leaker is a hero." The class votes. 19 say hero, 3 say criminal, 2 abstain. You abstain. You sit there listening to your classmates debate the morality of what you did 12 hours ago, and you can't participate because the most wanted hacker in the country is wearing a hoodie with a ketchup stain, hoping the teacher doesn't call on him because he didn't do the reading because he was busy dismantling a classified surveillance program. The next 2 months are the best of your life. The public discourse shifts. The agency acknowledges the program. Congressional hearings are televised. A federal judge rules one component unconstitutional. The digital rights organization builds a case that advances faster than anyone expected. You watch from your bedroom and feel something you've never felt. Agency. The sense that your existence has altered the world. A federal judge cited documents you extracted. A senator quoted statistics you compiled. A constitutional precedent exists because a 17-year-old in Oregon decided the public had a right to know. Marco notices you're different, happier. He says you've been weird positive, and it's freaking him out. You tell him you've been sleeping better. Sophia talks to you at lunch for the first time about a movie. The conversation lasts 4 minutes and 20 seconds. You remember every word because 17-year-old brains record certain conversations with surveillance-grade fidelity, and the irony doesn't hit you until later. The FBI traces you on a Tuesday. Not through the leak itself, through the forum. Metadata correlation between posting times and Pacific Northwest time zone patterns. They narrow to Oregon, then Bend, then an IP. Address you routed through 7 proxies that the NSA's traffic analysis tools reconstructed through a timing correlation attack you didn't know was possible because the technique was classified. They don't come to your house immediately. They surveil for 3 weeks. Your apartment, your school. They confirm identity. Build the case. Get the warrant. Wednesday morning, 6:15 a.m., 12 FBI agents arrive in 3 vehicles. Your mom opens the door in her bathrobe. She sees badges and guns, and her face does something you'll remember forever. It doesn't collapse, it empties. Every expression leaves simultaneously, and what's left is the blank surface of a person whose system has crashed. They find you asleep in a video game t-shirt. They wake you, show the warrant, read your rights, handcuffed, in your bedroom, with the dirty laundry and the Hot Pocket wrappers, and the refurbished laptop that just cost you your future. Your mom is in the hallway, not crying yet. That comes later, in waves, for months. Right now, she's blank. You pass her. You say, "I'm sorry, Mom." She doesn't respond. Her hand is on the wall. The wall is holding her up. Your name is released because you're charged under the Espionage Act. and the court rules public interest outweighs juvenile privacy protections. Your school photo, the one where your hair's too long and you look exactly like what you are, a kid, is on every network next to the words Espionage Act. Half the country calls you a hero, half calls you a traitor. Marco is interviewed leaving school. He says, "He's my best friend. I didn't know." Sophia is asked if she knew you. She says she talked to you once about a movie. 4 minutes and 20 seconds is now a footnote in a national security case. Then, something shifts. Your lawyer, a public defender who's smart and believes you, calls on a Thursday. She's been reviewing classified documents the court allowed the defense to access under seal. She tells you something that wasn't in the files you leaked, something in the section you redacted, the section you specifically removed to protect people. Prism Ridge wasn't only domestic surveillance. Buried inside the mass collection apparatus was a targeted intelligence operation tracking a network of individuals communicating through encrypted channels across 4 countries. The operation used the domestic surveillance infrastructure as cover, hiding inside the larger program the way a specific fish hides in a school. The individuals were linked to an extremist cell under investigation for 14 months. The agents tracking them were close to identifying operational leadership, close to intercepting a planned attack. When you leaked Prism Ridge, you burned the cover. The cell's communications were monitored through the same infrastructure you exposed. When the program went public, they went dark. Changed platforms, changed protocols, disappeared from every signal intelligence channel. The investigation collapsed. Not from incompetence, because the surveillance architecture tracking a terrorist cell was the same architecture you exposed as unconstitutional domestic spying. Both operations ran on the same servers, the same authorization, the same classified infrastructure. And a 17-year-old with a refurbished laptop couldn't tell the difference. The difference was compartmented in files requiring a security clearance he'll never have. The following Monday, a bomb detonates at a transit hub in a European city. 14 dead, 41 injured. The attack is claimed by the network Prism Ridge was tracking, the network that went dark after your leak. You watched the coverage on a television mounted to the wall in the juvenile detention facility. 14 photographs in a grid, smiling, alive. An 11-year-old girl with a backpack, a man holding coffee, a woman mid-laugh. 14 faces that existed Monday morning and didn't exist Monday afternoon. The intelligence community doesn't blame you publicly. They don't need to. The timeline is public. The leak was public. The internet connects the dots. The forums that celebrated you go quiet. The digital rights organizations issue careful statements about complexity. The journalist declines interviews. The conversation splits. Half the internet still calls you a hero who exposed an illegal program. The other half calls you the reason 14 people are dead. Both sides are correct. The program was unconstitutional. The program was also tracking a terrorist cell. Your leak exposed the first. Your leak destroyed the second. Both things happen inside the same act. The same keystroke. The same 17-year-old at 3 a.m. in a bedroom that smelled like dirty laundry while his mom slept and the heater made its helicopter noise. You didn't make a mistake. That's what nobody on either side will say. You didn't make a mistake because the information you had showed illegal surveillance and the information you redacted, the information you specifically removed to protect people, was the information that would have told you not to publish. You were careful, you were ethical, you were responsible, and 14 people are dead. Not because you were reckless, because you were 17, and the world is more complicated than a 17-year-old can see from a bedroom in Oregon at 3 a.m. The line between exposing tyranny and enabling violence ran through the same server farm, and you couldn't see it because it was classified. And the classification was the problem, and the problem was the protection, and the protection was the thing you destroyed. The trial takes 3 weeks. You're tried as an adult. You sit in a suit your mom bought at a thrift store because your lawyer said you need to look presentable. The sleeves are too long. You look like a child in an adult's clothes, in an adult's courtroom, facing an adult's consequences. Convicted on 2 counts, acquitted on 4, 7 years federal. The judge says she hopes the sentence reflects both the seriousness of the violation and the court's recognition that you acted from conviction rather than malice. 7 years. You're 17. You'll be 24 when you get out. The years between 17 and 24, college, first apartments, first real relationships, The years when a person becomes whoever they're going to be will happen inside a facility. Your mom visits every 2 weeks. 3-hour drive from Bend. She brings magazines and approved snacks. She talks about the clinic and the dog that swallowed a sock and the heater that finally broke. She talks about normal things because normal things are the only gifts she can give you in a room with fluorescent lights and a guard by the door. She never mentions Prism Ridge. She never mentions the bombing. She never mentions the 14 photographs. She brings snacks and talks about dogs. And when the visit ends, she drives 3 hours back to an apartment where your bedroom door is closed and will stay closed for 7 years. You think about the 11-year-old with the backpack every day, not because someone told you to, because your brain integrated her face into its operating system the way it integrated the Prism Ridge files. She's there when you wake up. She's there when you eat. She's there when the facility goes quiet and the only sound is your breathing in a cell smaller than your bedroom in Bend. You were right. The program was illegal. A federal judge said so. The Constitution says so. The surveillance of millions without knowledge or consent was a Fourth Amendment violation, and the court confirmed this. And the confirmation stands regardless of what happened afterward. You were right. 14 people are dead. Both things are true. Both things will always be true. Both things live inside you the way the program lived inside the server, occupying the same space. Impossible to separate without destroying something. You are a whistleblower, and you are the reason a cell went dark. You are a hero, and you are connected to 14 deaths. You exposed tyranny and enabled violence. You were right, and people died. There is no version where only one is true. There is no edit, no redaction, no keystroke that separates the exposure from the consequence. They are the same file. They were always the same file. You opened it at 3 a.m. because you were 17 and believed the truth would only do good, because that's what 17-year-olds believe about truth, that it's clean, that it lands where you aim it, that it doesn't scatter into fragments traveling directions you didn't calculate, hitting people you didn't see. The truth is not clean. The truth is a classified program that is simultaneously illegal and essential, tyrannical and protective, unconstitutional, and the only thing between a transit hub and 14 body bags. The truth contains multitudes. You were 17? You saw one. That wraps it up for today. This story is entirely fictional, but the tension between surveillance, whistleblowing, and national security remains one of the most contested issues in modern democracy. If this one sat differently, drop a comment and answer honestly, knowing what he knew at the time. Would you have leaked it? Because if the answer is yes, this story isn't about a hacker in Oregon. It's about every person who ever believed the truth is simple enough for one person to handle. Subscribe for more.